Hit record. Oh. And so, Gabe, can you just tell me a little bit about yourself and your company?
Sure. My name is Gabe Grifoni. I'm the CEO here at Rufus Labs, and we build wearable technology for enterprise. So we build hardware and software that allow workers to do their pick jobs a lot faster, and it connects them to the IoT and kind of robots in ways that really hasn't been done before, and kind of a way that we're looking to be a lot more future-proof and keep workers safe on the job. So our focus here is really on the best tools to do that.
And so that was really helpful during this pandemic, right?
Yeah, you know, this has been obviously a terrible year for many in lots of regards. So, you know, we always try to look for some silver linings, you know, where we can, and we can do a lot of good with the tools we make in this kind of environment because we allow our customers to be able to speed up what they do, get more goods out faster, and hopefully with less, you know, humans or the same amount of humans able to do the same kind of volume now. So you don't need as many people concentrated in one area. We also have some other tools and software that we built in that are specific to helping out in the pandemic and keeping workers safe that go beyond just that. So yeah, we've been able to be very helpful, I think, during the pandemic to a lot of our customers.
Good. Just 1 second.
Okay, cool.
All right. And then how has the pandemic impacted your company? And do you think it has changed your job for better or for the worse?
You know, again, it's one of those things where, you know, you want to look for the good that comes out of it, and a lot of good has come out of it. You know, you almost feel bad that you were able to find some good in things because you know of everything going on in it. But for our company, and I think every business has been affected in one way or another. It's a once in a century pandemic. It would be impossible to think anyone was immune from its effects, you know, even on the business, right? Mm-hmm. So for us, it's made us, we went into, we had never had a pandemic response protocol. We realized we needed to create one. That's what we did right away. We put everyone, you know, at home and kept everyone safe. We used the lab here for inventory and shipments, and there's usually one person at a time in here. So we changed a lot about the way we do business, the way our team operates. And it has been really positive in that people don't have to commute anymore to work. We have the luxury of a job where, you know, there's a server over here I can turn on and some of the engineers can zoom in and just take control of the servers and do whatever they need. They don't even have to be here. So I can be in here alone and have, you know, 4 engineers around me. It's kind of cool, right?
Right.
So with all that, we've made a lot of changes to the business. It's made the productivity gains of the company itself, I think, are higher. People are more motivated. They can work at 6 a.m. if they like to in their pajamas, take a 9 a.m. breakfast break. I mean, it's had a lot of positive effect, I think, on the way the team operates. The only downside is we don't get to interact in person as much anymore, but we're on these kind of calls every day.
Right.
You know, we're all on that. So it's had a lot of positive effects, and I don't think we will go back to a pre-COVID kind of way of doing business.
That is actually, that kind of goes to one of the questions I have written down. But what do you think the industry will be like post-pandemic?
I think when you do something for 30 days or 60 days, it's kind of, it's a trend, you know, or it's something that doesn't really stick. But once it's over 3 months, 6 months, it's a habit. It becomes your normal routine. We're all used to curbside pickup. We're all used to popping the trunk at, you know, a Vons supermarket or something, someone putting it in the back, closing the trunk, and you're off, right? We have personal shoppers now in stores that are scanning items. I think that people doing that for a year will make a lot of people continue to do that forever, and that will be a normal. And it's probably, it's a lot more efficient, right? I know everything I want. There's personal shoppers in a Target or in a Walmart that know where everything is. They grab it off the shelves, put it in a bag, and you pick it up. You're in and you're out. I was in and out of a Target in 3 minutes with a curbside pickup.
That is so very impressive.
Yeah, and it was an underground parking garage. But like, you know, because everything now is, everyone has adapted to make this work because you have to. At this point, you know, because this goes on for a year, 2 years before we really get back to some kind of normal, whatever we want to call the new normal after this. So I think that you had to adapt to survive. If you didn't do these kind of things and people couldn't come into your store, more people were, even if they could go, afraid to because of health concerns, whether they're in a more risk, you know, age group or category or something. And my parents, who never shopped online, now do curbside and Amazon like they've been doing it forever, you know, and they're not going to go back. So I think it's changed a lot for ever.
I just read a study recently, and it said that baby boomers are going to be the one that changes e-commerce trends, and that they're going to be the ones that continue to buy stuff online now because they finally know the convenience of it. Like, I have been shopping online my entire life, but then my parents, they don't get it. They need to touch stuff, and I'm like, but it's so convenient.
And they're like, they don't want to change, right? They've been doing something for 60, 70 years their own way. For you and I and everyone, it's normal. But like you said, there's a cap. Like us and younger will all do this kind of stuff, but they're not going to capture any new people in the older unless this crazy thing happened once in a century and forced everyone to have to do it. So yeah, they will definitely drive all that e-commerce over the next few years.
Right. And what are some ways that you have kept the supply chain rolling?
You know, so we build wearable hardware that allows users to access their WMS, their warehouse management systems, and do their pick and pack jobs hands-free. It's all wearable, so we already improve efficiency right away by doing that. You know, the things that we've done to improve supply chain come with the increased productivity that we get from our hardware and our software. We're able to gather analytics on workers and understand how they're picking, how they're moving, how they might be able to pick or move better, safer. And as you know, so during this time in particular, we have customers that have had up to 56% boosts in pick speed. So we're able to do a lot of good and keep the supply chain going, which is incredibly under pressure. I've never seen this level of spike in demand at once. It's kind of wild. You know, this peak season was bigger than ever, and it's not really stopping right now, at least from the metrics we see from the customers, you know, that it just keeps going.
Right. And then does Rufus Labs work with food at all?
Yeah, we work with anywhere there's a barcode that moves, basically. So
Okay, so
we have
anything.
anything that moves through barcodes. So we have customers in the medical space that are actually directly involved in COVID response. So Rufus is powering the movement of certain COVID kits and stuff right now. So we have customers that work in that field and in totally non-consumer facing side of things, essentially. And then we have retailers that work in clothing and that work in apparel and food, anywhere they're zapping barcodes and, you know, picking orders.
Okay. How does it feel to know that you are helping with the COVID response?
It's been great because everything we do here is really meant to address our customers. We don't live in a box and build tools. You know, I think a lot of legacy tools were built one way. It's just hardware, and it's kind of the only thing out there, so you got to use it, right? And everyone knows those kind of old tools that are really expensive and just do a job of scanning and kind of giving it back into a terminal. But with the hardware that we have, we're able to do so much more because we can gather data. So we can not only help pick things for a customer that is, you know, very involved in COVID response, but we can provide other tools because of our hardware. So we launched proximity alerts last month, I think. Yeah, in November, which allows workers to know when they're coming too close or within 6 feet if they're in a warehouse. So we can set up proximity alerts now that'll allow workers to do that. So it's great knowing that we can do some good and help workers on the inside and help people on the outside by getting things to them in efficient and safe ways. It's been kind of great. And the team's motivated by it because everything we build is based on customer feedback. So if we know our customers are happy using it and it helps, it motivates the team to build those features and they love building them. So it's been a really motivationally good year for the team, and knowing that we've been able to do some good.
I bet. And your technology about the 6 feet is standing apart, I thought that was so cool when I read the press release about it, because I don't realize how far away 6 feet actually is. Like, we get the recommendation and it's like the length of a couch, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But some people can't visualize that. And also just like getting alerted about it, I thought it was so futuristic. I thought it was so cool.
Yeah, it's definitely one thing, you don't really always know what's 6 feet. I grew up in a hardware store. My great grandfather opened, and I worked in the loading dock and did that. So I was all over tape measures and all that stuff. So 6 feet to me totally makes sense, but not to like,
Right.
most people, right? And in a warehouse too, you're in a busy environment where someone may be down at eye level or on the ground, on their knees, picking something and putting it in a bin, and you don't see someone walking near you. But if it
Right.
buzzes, I know someone's coming by, I can at least be alerted to it, and vice versa. So it's definitely an interesting feature, and we have customers that are very interested in it. It just launched, so it'll be curious to see how it works and how much it can help over the next few months.
We'll circle back in like 6 months and you can tell me
Yeah,
how it's going.
sure.
But then, are there any like in the field type of stories that you would like to share? Has anything made a significant impact on you?
I'd say, not necessarily COVID related, but in terms of impact on me or the company, the best in the field stories we have are pre-COVID, when we could spend time in our customers' warehouses. That was always the best. We could go in there and spend 6 hours in a day and talk to, each of us could talk to dozens of workers and get feedback on everything. That's the most impactful things, are the feedback we hear from workers. The tools I use are too heavy, it's 4 pounds and I have to carry it all day. It actually causes arm strain. Those are the most impactful things to us, are those essentially real world experiences we get to be in warehouses, which unfortunately this year, that's one of the downsides, right? We're talking about a lot of silver linings, but we can't really be in warehouses with customers. We've rarely gone to a facility to visit because it's not, it may not be safe for us. It may not be safe for them. There's already workers in there and they have to maintain their distance. So spending, serving and working close alongside a worker is not really possible, these days. It's already a stressful environment, and this year is so busy. So I'd say that, that's kind of one of the downsides, is we can't be there, but those are the most impactful moments. And we've started to transition as much of that to email and Zoom, and kind of getting that feedback in real time. We're much more communicative. I use WhatsApp and for business all the time. We have customers in the UK and all over that use it. And, it's a constant feedback loop, more than it was before, I think, because of how we're kind of forced to talk.
Right. I completely agree with you. And I think that is something that a lot of people are taking for granted in the pandemic, is that collaboration is just outrageous this year. We are always reaching out to people to talk. And just because you don't get that physical comfort from people, we are talking more than ever. I think I call my parents like every day now.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a 2.5-year-old. So I have Zoom calls between one set of grandparents or another every day, more than I ever did before. I see my team on Zoom. I mean, I saw them in the lab all the time when we were here, but and I've talked to people I haven't talked to in 15 years now too. Like that
Right.
my friends are like connecting from high school. I'm like, okay, sure. I'll talk to Laura. I haven't talked to her forever. So it's definitely reconnected the world in weird ways, now that we're disconnected. Can't be with each other, we're more connected in some ways. Very, very odd.
Yeah, and it's a weird way to think about it too, because if that could have been the goal of the virus all along, was to separate us, but we're stronger than that. And it's just like the supply chain. It will never break, it will only bend.
Yeah. And that's exactly the point of this, right? Is if you can bend with everything, you're gonna be all right during this. Like, we have definitely seen customers now that are accelerating the use of technology to improve efficiency because they have so much more demand. Basically we went from the steady acceleration of e-commerce, which was already going, and retail was, they were always separating and eventually, right? But we took like a 10-year leap in 1 year, essentially, in the amount of e-commerce to the drop of retail. And if you couldn't like adjust to that, if you couldn't do curbside pickup, you're gone. So it definitely, but a lot of people came out stronger, and it's really awesome to see the innovation everywhere. We work with companies, like you said, partnering is really important, right? So it coming together and using all the resources. We partner with companies that do robotics. We have a partner company that we work with out here, and partnering together gives our customers, a lot more features, because you can't do everything at once. And there's so much need for rapid advancement in the space that you're going to need a whole bunch of people to come in there and do the job. So working together is clearly important, and it has to be done in a timely manner, or your business may not survive.
Right. And then, oh God, I forgot what I was about to say. Do you think the future generation will be more likely to choose a career in the supply chain? And if so, what advice do you have for them from what you have learned this year?
Yes, I think they will, because the supply chain is going to be so massive. It already is. It keeps growing, and the need to get goods, not just, again, if you're only thinking of e-commerce, it's ordering stuff online, but logistics and supply chain is way more than just the order you placed, at Gap or wherever you're ordering,
Right.
and stuff like that. So, and getting things to the right place at the right time is now just been accelerated and critical. So I think a job in logistics or supply chain, whether it be, in a warehouse working as a picker, or doing, an ops manager job, or someone working at companies that design systems and robotics and all that kind of stuff that help the supply chain, there's going to be so much opportunity in the space. And it is going to be, it's been one way for a long time, and it is changing right now. And it already was in the last few years. And this year it took a huge leap, forward. So I think that there's going to be a lot more opportunity in it. And I would say the advice is, to anyone thinking about it, is don't think of it in the way you used to think about supply chain. Don't think of a, 5-pound brick on a stick, in a warehouse where you're just beeping things and putting them in a box. That's how it's been done for a long time. But now it's wearables, it's understanding human metrics, it's making humans and robots work together. It's all these amazing things that are going to be the next 20 or 30 years. So I would say it's very exciting to be in. And I never thought, if you asked me when I was a kid, if I'd be working in warehousing and logistics, and, that'd be a fun place to be, I would never say, you're crazy, I'm not going to work in a warehouse. But it's so much fun. The amount of things that you can do and what hasn't been done, there's so much opportunity in this area to do things. So I'm excited about it. You can probably tell.
No, that's okay. And just like for the robotics aspect, robots are real. And we talk about them all the time, but they help us in our everyday life. And I don't think people actually realize how much they are getting used, and especially in different industries too, because there's that horrible stigma of that robotics are going to take your jobs, when really they're just going to help you. And once people learn what this technology is able to do, I think it will ease a lot of fears. And I think that will also grow a lot of people to the industry, because I remember when I was 22 and I first went to Modex, and I was walking around and I saw all the robots, and I was like, this is real. These are real things.
Yeah, it's very cool. And I think that you're right. They're not taking your jobs. They are taking some of the heavier burden jobs, the heavy lifting jobs, and humans will do different jobs. You will do different parts of a pick process, and then there will be new jobs that are created because robots can only do X, Y, Z, at least for the next 20 or 30 years. We're a long way off before we have like a sentient, robot humanoid that essentially is just walking around the warehouse. We're not there yet.
Right.
But there's definitely a lot, and you're right. I think humans are going to have to get comfortable in the warehouse with working alongside robots, because that is the next few decades of warehouse work.
How do you expect others to continue to rise up to the occasion when it comes to the pandemic?
I think that people, are who are innovative and who are naturally kind of adept at responding to needs, whether it be a customer need or a global pandemic response. I think there are companies out there, and if you have a tool that is able to help in the effort in one way or another, you're gonna find a way to make it work. At least that's what my experience has been from working at this startup and other people I know who are involved in response to it. So I think people will continue to step up as they have, which is great. Again, one of the other silver linings out of this is when you have one common enemy that everyone is united against, it brings everyone together in a concerted front that we've never seen before. So
Mhm.
again, that's a silver lining, is all this terrible big bad has brought about the big good, right? So hopefully everyone will keep doing that. I
Right.
think people will keep, hopefully.
I agree with you. Actually, I say all the time that nothing brings someone closer together than a common enemy, and you're the only other person I have ever heard say that to.
Yeah, totally. It totally makes sense. It's like when you're watching like those, like any superhero movie or reading a comic book, whatever. There's like, the bad guys team up with the good guys when there's an even worse bad guy,
Right.
and that's kind of we put everything aside here, and it is humanity and health and safety, and we put everything else aside, and we all kind of unite. So yeah, you're spot on. I'm surprised more people don't think that way. They
I
should.
I know that's what I'm saying. Now I'm gonna walk around and be like, actually, Gabe from Rufus Labs agrees with me. But I know we are running short on time, and I just want to ask you one last question. But the whole point of this series is to honor people like you and your company that are doing so much for humanity during this time, because COVID's really scary, but you helped get the goods out. You are helping us remain safe and healthy. So, what does it mean to you to be considered a frontliner or an unsung hero in this sense?
Yeah, and I think everyone on the team would appreciate that sentiment. I think the most, you know, what we look at is, for me, the unsung heroes are, and the frontline workers that out there doing all the jobs that we don't want to do, are those warehouse workers and everyone who's picking goods because we don't want to be in a store. So for us, if we
Mm,
can help power those workers and get them through the job, that's great. And that to me is the most important thing. So if we're calling that an unsung hero, it's really about providing the tools for those unsung heroes who are doing all the work. We're sitting here in a safe place, giving them the tools to do their job. But it feels great if we can do a bit of good anywhere. Really, that's kind of the
mm,
goal here. Beyond COVID, it's going to be, there's going to be a lot more things in warehouses, from forklifts colliding with humans and all sorts of stuff that could cause injury, that we can still do good for workers. So that's kind of how we'll continue to proceed, and we'd love to do it. So we're happy to be able to.
all right. Well, thank you, Gabe. Again, I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to talk to me.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks, McKenna. Have a great rest of your afternoon, and appreciate the time again.
Thank you.